It's a true shame that Lady Teresa will be leaving our island.
I'm a little relieved, to tell you the truth. She was a bit too strict for a free soul like me.
I guess not even the heat of Southcan could melt her icy cold personality.
But strict as she was also fair. She never asked anyone to do what she wouldn't do herself. Even when we were fighting with Haria Village over the temple, she kept her cool and listened to what they had to say. If it wasn't for her, we'd probably still be squabbling with Haria.
That's true. But did the Abbey really need to take over the temple for themselves?
She was really pretty, too. Sorry to whoever takes her place, but she's the only exorcist for me. Lady Teresa Linares! You were our protector! Yeah, we need the chilly charms of the Frozen Queen to cool down the heat in Southgand. Ah, the way those ice-cold eyes of hers looked down at me with disdain, like I was something filthy. Teresa forever!
Wow, there's one in every town.
Southgan lumber exports have been on the rise, but so has the popularity of Southgan cuisine.
Like Pengyang?
Pengyongs are our flagship food, and our Pengyong farms are flourishing. But oranges, bananas, and our other fruits also sell well.
I've never had any oranges or bananas.
Oranges are sweet but tart and very juicy. They're the perfect refreshment on a hot day.
They're that fruit that glows in the dark, right? Also known as candle fruit?
That's the one. And now bananas. They're soft, sweet, and filling when eaten raw. But if you dry them out, they get crunchy, like peanuts. And they stay good for years. Southgand is pretty well off compared to other places. The fish are plentiful, and the trees are heavy with fruit. That's why I'm shipping the excess to other towns.
This guy here, he's a true sailor.
Yeah, good luck. I wish you the best.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
What are those penguins doing?
Probably keeping their eggs warm?
Most likely. They look like a mama and a papa. Penguins are monogamous, faithful creatures. They never leave their mate. Isn't that romantic?
So they lay eggs because they're like husband and wife. But how do they make the eggs?
That's... well...
So, Laffy said, here's an interesting fact. A single penguin egg actually gets dozens of smaller orange eggs.
Oh, so their eggs must be small and crunchy.
Yep. They have the texture of caviar and the rich flavor of sea urchins.
Interesting. So they're more like fish than birds.
So you've eaten them. How cruel. Look how much they care about their young.
While it may be a bit cruel, they taste amazing. They're considered a delicacy in some circles. Top a bowl of rice with these crunchy eggs and some rich penguin thigh meat, and you get a dish called family fricassee.
That's a horrific name.
I wasn't the one who named it, okay?
Those eggs look tasty, but I think I'll pass.
I can't deal with this anymore.
What's the matter?
Everyone's sick of all these fruit-flavored gels, right? So, I made gels using the giant cacao beans only found here on this island. It gave them a nice bitter chocolate taste. But people complained that they weren't avant-garde enough. Ugh, chocolate-flavored gels, how prosaic, bah! This got me fuming! So I caught some maiden bonita fish you find around here, ground them up, and made some gels with them.
You put fish into chocolate gels?
Well, people do braise meat with chocolate. Chocolate and fish may go surprisingly well together.
Exactly! It was the discovery of a century. The bonito flakes crunchiness and the gel's gumminess made for an exquisitely bad combo, which made it interesting.
So if you made an innovative new type of gel, why are you so angry?
That's exactly my problem. I outdid myself. Now I need to make my Gels World debut as amazing as they are. So I thought up the ultimate plan.
And that is?
I'll put my Choconito gels in toilets all over the world. I'll call it the Great Choconito Toilet Gambit. No one will go to the bathroom without finding my gels. I think everyone will have a lot of fun. So, genius, right?
Yeah, it's weird, but I think it's funny too.
Right? I knew that kids would get it.
Who's a kid?
But all the adults in my village called it silly and lowbrow. They forbade me from selling my Choconito gels at all. Isn't that just horrible?
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Aw, man. Things used to be so much better. Mom would make me dinner, and all I had to do was goo 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 ga, and everyone would smile and praise me. I don't want to become the kind of grown-up who can't find any fun in looking for gels in toilets.
Do you plan on just giving up? Palamedes is Amenoch's temple. The priestess isn't the only one whose job it is to protect that temple. It's the duty of everyone born in this village.
Why did the Abbey need Amenoch's temple badly enough to risk causing this much unrest?
But how will we protect our village from the demons if the Abbey abandons us? Besides, we won't be able to do business with the people of Isolt anymore.
Our faith in Amenoch has nothing to do with the demons. When the priestess gets back, I'm going with her to protest.
The demon blight changed everything. Will we never be able to return to the way things were?
The way things were.
Listen, I don't know what they told you in Isolt, but our village has its own traditions. This village is under the divine protection of the Empyrean Amenoch. For unbroken centuries, a line of his priestesses have guided us. They're tasked with performing the sacred rites of worship. And sometimes, they even deliver us his and will.
And there's still a priestess today?
Of course. And her daughter is training to become our next priestess. Although, I sometimes feel they push themselves too hard. Both mother and daughter are giving their all for Haria. But the Abbey doesn't care about any of that. And they stole our temple from us.
By force?
An exorcist named Teresa came and heard us out. But from the very beginning, she always intended on taking our temple. Her words may have been kind, but that doesn't change the fact that she demanded that we worship her god, Enominat. In all the years we've worshipped Amenoch, not once did we ever try to force others to adopt our beliefs.
Why haven't I seen this priestess she's talking about?
So she digs being called teacher. Well played, Laphicet.
She wasn't so fond of ma'am, so I guess he figured he needed an alternative.
You can tell how badly he wanted to help her with the languagey work. I think our Malak boy's finally finding himself.
So it would seem.
Banning local religions. The Abbey sure knows how to oppress the populace.
I'd imagine that comes part and parcel with spreading the good word. Other gods would only get in the way.
From what we overheard, it sounds like they've taken over Amenoch's temple, Palamedes, to use as their base of operations.
Sealing it off would be provocative enough. But straight up taking it over? Not a lot of so-called reason to that. Unless... Do you think they need it for some other purpose?
Shrug. What connection do you think there is between the violent demon Teresa mentioned and this village?
Couldn't tell you.
Could there have been a demon blight breakout here? This village doesn't look like it's been attacked, but...
Whatever it is. If it keeps the Abbey's eyes off us for once, that's good enough for me.
You really will use anything and everything toward your own aims, won't you?
Yep, and that includes you. As I'm sure you've noticed.
It sounds like deciphering the text might take some time.
We should be prepared to wait it out here a while. Hopefully it'll all be worth it in the end.
I hope so too, but ancient Avarost is complex. It's not just a matter of knowing the grammar and vocabulary.
Oh? Then how exactly do you read it?
I'm not sure about the specifics myself, but from what I understand, you kind of have to intuit a lot of it.
A language based on guesswork? Thanks, old dead people. You're officially the worst.
Hey! Did you know that in our grandfather's time, Southgand used to be an independent nation? Midgand acted nice with us at first, asking us if we wanted to form a republic. But once they realized that we didn't have a king, they changed their tune and declared war. Well, we got rightly angry and joined together to fight them off. We met the attacking Royal Navy on the high seas.
So there was a naval battle?
Yeah. If we had taken them up on their initial offer, maybe we could have avoided unnecessary death. The war raged for 10 years. By the end of it, both Midgand and Southgand were in tatters. What a waste.
Midgand is much larger and more powerful than Southgand. Why did the war last so long?
Every time Southgand was in danger, a big storm would show up and sink Midgand's fleet. It happened many times. We Southganders started calling these storms Aminoch's Fury, or Aminoch's Divine Wind.
Still, Midgand won, and Southgand was taken over, right?
Yeah, but even the great Midgand was forced to recognize Southgand's in the face of Aminoch's fury. Despite our loss, Midgand didn't interfere in our worship of Aminoch, or lay their hands on our temple.
But now the Abbey has seized Aminoch's temple.
I just hope history doesn't repeat itself.
This is all your fault for letting your tongue wag.
Those cretins already took our temple away from us. Why did you go and tell them?
I never intended for this to happen, I swear. But they asked me a question, so I couldn't not answer.
You should have just lied to them. Kamoana hasn't been back in days now. This is all your...
So that's what happened.
She asked us to look for them because she felt guilty. This rocky shore just keeps going. Just don't step on any sea slugs, okay?
Why not? What's the big deal?
It's just that it isn't pretty. Their insides squish everywhere.
Yikes. That sounds pretty traumatizing.
Then again, if you pickle their innards, it makes for a great snack.
You eat them?
Oh, don't be a baby. You've had worse.
Forget the sea slugs. Try not to step on the coral.
Good point. Coral is alive and needs our protection.
Or maybe it's because some of it can be sold for jewelry.
I didn't mean either of those reasons. Although Manon appears similar to Maclear Beach, it was formed by a completely different process.
Now that you mention, this area is covered by rocks.
Maclear is just your average seashore. But Manon here was made by the slow corrosion of seaside caves.
They were worn away by the waves?
That too. But mainly, it was the handiwork of a rock-eating species of coral, known as ravening table coral. Stay in contact long enough, and they'll melt your flesh right off.
Ah, so that's why it tingles every time I touch the coral.
Why didn't you warn us earlier?